All right, this is the study guide for the parabola and hyperbola quiz. And so it does say assignment on it. You may want to just cross that out and put mock quiz on it so that you know that you don't have to turn this in, right? So this is for study purposes. But I wanted to go ahead and go through everything just in case you needed to see one of them again or if you missed one in class. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at the format of this. This is considered the transformational format or translational format of a parabola. And I'm going to pay attention to where my square lies. That square tells me if it's going to be up or down or side to side. So if it's x that's squared, it's going to be up or down. So I know that information. The other piece is I need to know where my vertex is going to lie. And that vertex comes from these two values. My formula is x minus h and y minus k. And my vertex will be hk. So you'll see with this plus sign here, that means we have a negative value on that h and k. So let's go ahead and take a look. On my x, we have -6. On my y, I have -2. So -6, -2, this is where my vertex lies. The last part that we have, well, not last part, the next part we have is to take a look at our latus rectum, which is this. That's the equivalent of 4p. And we want to go ahead and set that equal to, have that number set equal to 4p so that we can figure out what my p is. Once I have that p value, I go away from it that amount on either side for my directrix and my focus. So once I divide both sides by 4, I get a p of -1/2. Now this negative here basically tells me that I am going to look at a specific orientation on my parabola. So a negative would give me a concave down. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this top one. And what that means is that my directrix is going to be above it and my focus is going to be below it. So as I look at this piece here, I'm going to go below it by 1/2. That's my focus. And then I'm going to go above it by 1/2, and that's going to be my directrix. So let's go ahead and put down where those are. So the focus is at -6 to -2.5, and then my directrix is located at y equals -1.5. All right, so now that I have that, what I want to do is go ahead and double my p. So 2p, if I really just look at the value is what I want, is going to be equal to 1. Because if 1p is 1/2, 2 of those together is going to equal 1 whole. And with that, I can go 1 on either side of my focus. And that gives me that full length of my latus rectum. But the 2p is all I need here because this value and this value are the same. And they're both equal to 2p. So now that I have those built, I can go ahead and start drawing my parabola from there and connecting those dots. So there is, oh, and my line of symmetry. That would be the other thing that we need. And that line of symmetry goes through my vertex and my focus. So line of symmetry is x equals -6. Okay, so that should be everything that we need in order to be able to finish that parabola. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. If you have not had a chance to work on this in class, please go ahead and pause this and see if you can solve it yourself. And then fast forward to see what the answer is. And if you missed anything, go ahead and rewind and come back and take another look. All right, here we have y that's squared. So that's going to give me either a left or right parabola. And I look at my latus rectum, which is positive, which means that it's going to be the right facing one. So that's what my my parabola should look like. And that means that my focus is to the right of it and my directrix is going to be behind it. So let's look at where my vertex is located. That's going to be at 5, -2. And I get those from these two values. So 5, -2 is right here. 2 is my latus rectum. That's going to be equal to 4p. P again is 1/2, but it's positive. So in front of it, because I have this orientation, right? In front of it, I'm going to have my focus, and then behind it, I'm going to have my directrix, right? And that line just kind of keeps going. And if I want to, I can go ahead and do my line of symmetry as well. That will pass through both my focus and my my vertex. So let's look at directrix. That is located at x equals 4.5. My line of symmetry is at y equals -2. And then my focus is at 5.5, -2. And let's see what else we need. Oh, we need what 2p is. So that's going to be equal to 1. So I'm going to go 1 over from my focus in the same line with that focus. And that total of 2 speaks back towards my latus rectum. And then I go this way, and I go this way, and that would be my parabola. All right, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing on that one. Vertex, directrix, line of symmetry, focus. I think that's it. All right. Now we're getting into hyperbolas. Now remember that we always have a squared and b squared in that orientation. So a would be 2 and b would be 5. And then I look at where my center is located, and my center is going to be at -1 and 0. So -1, 0 is right here. My vertex is going to go, there's 2 of them, and they are going to go 2 away from my center in the direction of the actual graph itself. Well, how do I decide how the graph is going? So my graph could either go like this, or it could go like this. And if it's this orientation, we would have a y leading. If it was this orientation, it would be an x leading. And by leading, I mean the first item that's in the expression, the standard expression. Your second value really always falls behind that negative. So if you have like a negative plus a positive, switch the values, and your positive value is going to be your lead. All right, so I know that it starts with an x, so this is what it's going to look like. So I can go ahead and erase my y piece there. So I know it's going to go left and right, so I need to follow this 2 left and right. So here's a vertex, and here's a vertex. So that would be -4, 0, and 1, 0. So those are my vertex. Then I have my co-vertex, and those are going to be based on b, which is 5. And from the center, it will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. And so my co-vertex will be -1, 5, and -1, -5. Let's see here. So we're going to draw a box. So I'm going to go ahead and, I want to undo that. I need this color. I'm just going to draw the box in like a light green kind of color, so we can see it, but it's not overwhelming. Okay. So that is my, I probably should turn off fill color on that. All right, so that is my rectangle. And on that rectangle, what I'm going to do is go through one corner and then the other corner and through the center And those are my asymptotes. So through a corner, through the center, through this, I'm going to get my asymptotes. All right. And my focus, to determine the foci, I have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 4 plus 25 equals 29. So c is equal to the square root of 29. And I do not have, hang on a second, let me go ahead and do the math on that. Square root of 29 is going to be about 5.3. So my foci from the center will be 5.3 either way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.3. So those will be located at 4.30 and negative 6.30. All right. Now that we have that, where our vertex lie, those dots that are my vertex, that is going to be where the butt of my hyperbola is going to lie. And then we're going to have it go towards our asymptotes, right? We want it to go towards our asymptotes. So it's going to be very, very shallow on this one, or very wide. I just don't want you guys like making it more like a parabola, because these are going to follow our asymptotic lines. Okay, so that was our focus. And then the last part of this, I think, is to do the equations of my asymptotes. And the formula we have for the x value is plus or minus, I should say y equals plus or minus b over a times x minus h plus k. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what that might look like. So I have y equals, I'm going to handle the plus first. So b is 5 and a is 2, so 5 over 2 times x minus h is just this value right there. So I'm going to do x plus 1. And then my k value, k is equal to 0, right? So you're really looking at what your y value of your center is. So that k is 0. So I'm not going to say plus 0, right? Because this is what your equation would look like. We never really write plus 0 if it's not there. Keep in mind that I could distribute that, right? So I could do 5 halves x plus 5 halves. It kind of seems silly. I will accept either answer. All right, then we need to do the negative. And so we would have y equals negative 5 halves times x plus 1, of course, plus 0. And that would be negative 5 halves x minus 5 halves. So again, both of these are fine as far as our information. So I believe that's all we need for this piece. And I think we've got it. All right, let's look at the last one. Again, see if you can go ahead and do this on your own and pause it. I have a y leading, so I know that my behavior is going to look like that. I know my a is going to be 5 and my b is going to be 4, right? Because this is a squared, this is b squared. And I know that my center is located at 1, 0. So at 1, 0 is my center. Oops, I should make that red. 1, 0 is my center. And then because my graph goes up and down, I'm going to go up and down from that to get my vertices. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my vertices are at 1, 5. And 1, negative 5. And then my co-vertices that comes from my b value is going to be 4 on either side. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's get those down. That would be -3, 0, and 1, 0. Oh, wait, no, sorry, not 1, 0. That would be 5, 0. All right. And then now, of course, we build our rectangle. Oops. So I go to 5. I'm going to go down to this one, down to here, then over across. All right, so that's my rectangle, and then remember that I've got my crisscrosses through, so I'm going to go through, okay, so through the center and through the other side, and through here, through the center, through the other side. Okay, those are my asymptotes. So we can find our foci. So we have a squared, which is 25 plus 16 is equal to c squared. So, which is equal to 41. So c is going to equal the square root of 41. So that's going to be like 6 point something. Hang on. We'll go ahead and do that on the calculator. 41 is going to be 6.4. So in the direction of where my graph is, I'm going to go away from my center. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a quarter. So I'm going to be like right about, or 0.4. I'm going to be right about there. And then my focus on the other side is going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 0.4. So those would be my foci. And so let's look at my actual coordinates for that. So they're both at 1, and then that's going to be 6.4, and that's going to be -6.4. And then let's go ahead and draw our hyperbola. So it's going to go away from here towards, okay, and then this one's also going to go away and go towards those asymptotes, right? So they're not going to touch the asymptote. They're just approaching and coming in pretty hot. All right, and then my equations of my asymptote. Yes, asymptote. Okay, so we have y is equal to, and remember this is plus or minus a over b times x minus h plus k. That's my formula. So my first one is going to be y equals, and I'll do the positive. So that'll be 5 over 4 times x minus 1, and then plus 0. And like we said before, if it's a 0, then just ignore it. So I'm going to erase that. And then if I want to go ahead and distribute, I could do that, and that would just be 5/4 x minus 5/4. And then y is going to equal -5/4 times x minus 1 plus 0, right? Or -5/4 x plus 5/4, right? Because we have a negative and a negative, make a positive. So those are my two asymptotes. And I believe that's it for, is that everything that we need for our hyperbola? There you go.